Hey, it's Josiah Novak, and welcome to the True Transformation Podcast, the top fitness podcast for men who want to get ripped, naturally boost testosterone levels, and use fitness as a tool to not only look and feel better, but improve all areas of life in the process. Welcome to the show. Buckle up. Life moves fast. Let's make it count. So let's talk about the best strategies to build muscle and lose body fat. Because, man, there is so much out there now. There's a lot of confusing information. So I want to help you save a ton of time and headache. These are things that have helped me lose over 65 plus pounds, plus help at least 2,500 plus men over the past 15 plus years drop on average 30 to 40 pounds in 90 to 120 days. So let's just get right into it. The first thing I want to say is that the best strategy is a long-term commitment, not looking for the quick fix. I know that's like beating a dead horse, right? Because I've probably said that to you guys on this show a million times, and I'll say it a million more times until people start doing the right things. But as humans, we just nowadays especially have this mindset of we want things fast. We want it tomorrow. We want it yesterday. We want it right now. So we're going to do whatever it takes to get there as fast as possible. Now, I don't think trying to be more efficient and doing things in a way that are more streamlined is a bad thing. I think that's great. And hopefully this podcast will help you do that. But the number one thing, the best strategy for losing fat and building muscle especially, is just a long-term commitment. How do I wake up every day loving what I do? Loving the workouts I do, loving the diet that I follow, loving the foods I eat. How do we create that? Because then we can just do that and the results will come as a byproduct of living this way. So that's number one. Now, how do we establish a long-term commitment in the short term? I think the biggest thing is setting realistic targets and focusing on behaviors. We got to get out of the results-driven mindset. We can't constantly look in the mirror and go, oh, I'm not lean enough. Oh, man, I'm not big enough in my arms. Or, oh, man, I'm still weak today. I didn't lift as much as I wanted to. Or my run time isn't as fast as I want it yet. Those are results, and they will come. The behaviors are what we have to stress. Did I track my food today? Did I emphasize protein in my meals? Did I skip breakfast and wait till lunch to eat? Did I drink enough water? Did I go for a 30-minute walk today? This gives us an opportunity to do a couple of things. One, gets us out of the hamster wheel of constantly being worried about long-term results that aren't going to come for a while and getting frustrated and falling off track and starting over and losing self-belief and not committing to ourselves, all that stuff, right? It's awful. And it's a pattern that most of us have been in at one point, and you might be in it right now. The second thing, though, that just focusing on behaviors does is it gives us a chance to win. Every single day, I can check the box that I'm crushing it because maybe my abs aren't here yet. Maybe my back doesn't look the way I want it to look yet, but I got the sleep I needed. That's a win. I hit my water goal. I hit my calorie goal. I feel better. Something's happening. Don't maybe see it yet, but it feels good. And I have confidence that I can do this. So that's really important. Now, let's talk about some nitty-gritty stuff. With losing fat and building muscle, both things are going to require an attention to detail in terms of nutrition. But let me simplify it for you. I think if we're just worried about two things, we're going to be 90%, maybe even 95% of the way there. And those two things are calories and making sure that we're eating healthy foods. Like you could put those hand in hand, right? Calories always matter. We got to make sure we're eating the right amount of calories for our goals. The other thing that matters is protein. We don't need enormous amounts of protein, okay? But we do need some. We do need a decent amount. I would say about 0.75 to 0.8 grams per pound or per pound of lean body mass if you're leaner. The easiest way that I like to set protein is just looking at my weight and saying, what do I want to weigh? Okay, so I want to weigh 200 pounds. All right, as long as I get 0.8 grams per 200 pounds, I'm probably fine. So like 175 to 180 grams a day, I'm probably covering my bases. And the thing with this is When you're trying to build muscle, you obviously need protein. I say obviously, you may not know this, but hopefully you are starting to uncover the fact that protein does help build muscle. It's a vital nutrient for health in the body, but it will help your body recover from weight training and thus build more muscle. So protein's important. Calories are going to dictate what your weight does, right? If you eat more calories than you burn, you're going to gain weight. If you eat less calories than you burn, you'll lose weight. So if we just focus on those two things, we're going to be 90% of the way there. As you get more advanced, you can start to track how many carbs you're eating, how much fat you're eating, and you can start to manipulate those factors according to your preference, according to how your body responds. You might say, "Oh, I feel like I'm leaning down a little faster with less fat, more carbs." Great. You might say, "I feel better on more fat, less carbs." There's no right or wrong. And there's no set rule for everybody. I think moderation is probably the best place to start. And I think the best strategy with fat loss is just starting to track calories and protein. Getting those two things dialed in first will save you a ton of time and headache. Now, on the flip side, with building muscle, besides understanding the fact that building muscle takes, at least in most cases, much longer than losing fat. Okay, so I have guys who come in our program who lose 30 pounds in 90 days. Nobody's coming in our program building 30 pounds of muscle in 90 days. Like, it's never going to happen. It's impossible. Okay. Unless, I don't even want to say there's a case study out there where that's happened. It's never happened. 30 pounds in 90 days. It's never going to happen. You might build a little bit of muscle. You might regain some muscle that was there before that maybe you haven't utilized in a while. Muscle memory, right? Muscle comes back after it being underutilized for a period of time. But building muscle is a long-term deal. It's a long-term investment. When you start training with resistance, AKA weight training, you're doing things to preserve muscle more than anything, okay? Keeping the muscle that you have, using what you have, and then building slowly over time. So a commitment to the long-term game with training is really the biggest thing there. What I found to be most effective is cycling through different training goals. Okay, what does this look like? So on a basic level, this would be something like for 3 to 6 weeks, focusing on more strength-based training. So 5 to 8 reps of specific movements, getting really strong with good form, not getting hurt, doing things smart, but staying in that rep range so that you actually see progress and not trying to change things up every 2 weeks, right? Or every week. Then cycling to something where we do higher reps with maybe a little less rest in between sets. So we do something like 8 to 12 or 15 reps with only resting a minute between sets. This is more of a hypertrophy style of training where the muscle is just under tension for a lot of time, right? And there's a big pump that happens with this style of training where your muscles start to feel more inflated with blood and you just feel more full and bigger in the gym. Then you could do something like a hybrid style of training where you do some strength work coupled with some more hypertrophy work, which hypertrophy is just a fancy term for muscle size. So like 8 to 12 reps would be hypertrophy style training, coupled with some strength training on specific movements. Then you could do things like drop sets and supersets for specific muscle groups. You could do really high rep training, like 15 to 20 reps for a couple of weeks to really push a ton of blood in the muscle. Cycling through these for 3 to 6 weeks at a time with a focus on progression is what I found to be the most effective thing with building muscle. And going back to fat loss, like this could be the same style of training when you're trying to lose fat. Just know that you're probably not going to build muscle as fast when you're in a calorie deficit because your body is just trying to preserve muscle at this point and hold on to muscle, hopefully. And, it's really in what I would call near survival mode because it's losing its energy reserves, aka body fat. So our goal there kind of shifts from building muscle to keeping muscle, right? Still training like we're trying to build muscle, but leaning out while holding on to the muscle that we have. All of this stuff, right? The next tip I want to share with you, the building muscle, losing fat. There's a couple of things that are highly underrated that most people don't focus on. And number one is sleep. Most people do not care about sleep, or they care about it, but they don't really think about how it might be affecting their goals. can tell you right now, if you're getting poor sleep all the time, you are going to struggle more with losing fat and building muscle than the person who does sleep really well on a consistent basis. So, what does sleeping well look like for you? That's individual. A couple of pretty common rules that are pretty widely accepted amongst most people is that 6 to 8 hours of sleep every night is important. Uninterrupted sleep is important. Making sure that you're not drinking a lot of caffeine close to bedtime, making sure that your room is super dark and cool. Those things will contribute to high quality sleep. There's obviously a whole rabbit hole we could go down with sleep, but if we're not emphasizing sleep, we could be missing the boat, right? Now, the next tip I want to share in terms of best strategies is a mindset tip that I think will save you a lot of searching for the secret, right? The big thing here is motivation, and the fact that motivation for most people is sometimes hard to come by. And what can start to generate more motivation is simply taking action. Most people think action comes after motivation, when in reality, action drives motivation. It drives it up. And lack of action leads to less motivation. So how do we use this information and actually get results? So the first thing I would say is there's a rule. I call it the 10-minute rule. And that is we can do basically anything that we don't want to do for 10 minutes before we decide to not do it anymore. So we don't want to go to the gym feeling like crap. Don't want to prep a healthy meal. Would rather eat French fries and whatever. Cool. The rule, though, is you got to do the right thing for 10 minutes before you give up on it. The best place to use this is your workouts, right? I don't feel like working out today. Okay, get it. I'm right there with you. I don't sleep great every night. Feel run down sometimes. I'm right there with you. So let's go work out for 10 minutes and then see how we feel. What you'll find is that 10 minutes into it, your motivation goes up because you're like, oh, I actually can do this. This is not as hard as I thought it was going to be. And I actually feel better now that I'm doing it. That's weird. Let me keep going. And all of a sudden, 10 minutes turns into an hour. And you're like, whoa, I just did an hour workout. That's crazy. Like I wasn't even feeling a 10-minute workout. How'd that happen? Well, it happened because you took a small action, and that behavior led to motivation. It led to you getting motivated to do more because you liked the feeling of doing it. You liked the fact that you were knocking out something that you committed to, and your brain goes, ooh, I want more of that. I like that. I like that reward. You can use this in any part of your life, by the way. If you don't want to have a tough conversation, just do it for 10 minutes. I promise you, you'll be happy you did. And you'll probably want to keep going. Don't want to cook a healthy meal? Just do it for 10 minutes. I promise you 10 minutes in, you'll go, man, this isn't so bad. I'm excited to eat a healthy meal that helps me hit my calories versus ordering DoorDash and feeling like absolute crap an hour after I eat that burger that I knew I shouldn't have. Why don't I just make a healthy burger for the next 10 minutes, a calorie controlled burger that tastes great, hits the spot, but doesn't make me feel guilty. The 10-minute rule will save you a lot of headache. Use it, okay? Because it works. So, my friends, this is a really good starting point for you for the best strategies for losing fat and building muscle. I'm excited for you to use these. Of course, there's a lot of other things I would suggest in terms of making this work. I would say invest in yourself, prioritize your health. Can't do it on your own? Cool. I couldn't do it on my own for a long period of time too. I invested in lots of coaches to get it done. It helps you prioritize it. I say if you have the resources, invest in yourself. You'll never regret it. You only regret not doing it sooner, to be fair. Do that. Invest in yourself on a regular basis and put a priority around health because it is the most vital thing that we have. Trust me, you don't want to lose your health. That is the absolute worst thing that can happen to you in your life. So, life moves fast, by the way. Let's make it count. I appreciate you listening to today's show. I have a ton of free resources. Best place to start, fastingking.com or dadswithabsdiet.com. Those are two things that will get you off to a great start. They're completely free. They're my gift to you. Go check them out. If you're listening to this on any of podcast platforms out there, be sure to subscribe. Leave a rating and review. Let me know what you think of the show. I'd love to hear from you. And let's connect so that I can continue to serve you and give you the value that you are looking for. My name is Josiah Novak, owner and founder of thetruetransformation.com, the 3M system for men, and Diets Suck, author of the book Diets Suck. So you guys rock. Talk to you on the next one. Life moves fast. Make it count. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the True Transformation podcast.
Make sure to subscribe and leave us a review. Come back next time.